how do you describe yourself? What is it that you do?
Well, I say different things to different people.
Okay, pretend you're talking to me.
Okay. So, well, if I'll give you an analogy. I sat next to this lady on an aeroplane at Heathrow Airport in London. And I said, hello. And she said, oh, hello. And I said,
That's a very good imitation of that woman, by the way.
That's it.
That was
so I said,
fun.
where are you going? And she said, Singapore. Then she said to me, where are you going? So I said, Australia. I said, what do you do? So she told me. And then she said, what do you do? And I said, well, I work for a global enterprise. She said, do you? I said, yes, I do. I said, we've got outlets in nearly every country of the world. She said, have you? I said, yes, we have. I said, we've got hospitals, we've got homeless shelters, we've got hostels, hospices, we do marriage work, justice work, we've got orphanages, we've got feeding programs. I said, basically, we look after people from birth to death, and we deal in the area of behavioral alteration. And she went, wow. But I mean, like, really loud. People all turned around and looked at us. And she says, what's it called? I said, it's called the church. Have you heard of it? You know, it's a straight away. It moved the goalposts.
I'd love to know what her reaction was. Did she feel that you were putting her on?
No. We spoke from London to Singapore about the church. What does it do? Why does it do it?
From London to Singapore, that's a couple of hours.
It's a bit longer, actually.
Huh?
Yeah, and I was a little bit annoyed because I wanted to watch movies.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult.
But I think what happened, you know, it kind of picked up. There was a curiosity that was created, and it was like, wow. And actually, one of the things I try to do, Eric, is also give people a kind of a different perspective on things. To see things in a different way.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I'm trying to do.
That's part of the issue.
Well, a lot of people's understanding of Christianity is actually a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's engaging in such a way as to clear away those misunderstandings.
Yeah.
That's the first task of any kind of engagement with people.
Well, it's funny because if you think of it, and I know you do, that was exactly what Jesus does in the Gospels.
Yes.
Or does. Because he was most attacked, of course, by the religious figures of the day, who themselves had this misunderstanding and who had communicated this misunderstanding to the people, so that he must have been initially confusing.
But what I like, I like the encounter with Jesus and a woman known as the Samaritan woman. Now, when Jesus met the Samaritan woman, there were big barriers between these two people. I mean, Jesus was the high priest, and she was living in adultery. Okay, men didn't so you've got a moral barrier.
This woman at the well.
Woman at the well.
The famous woman at the well.
She got a moral barrier there.
Yeah.
Then women didn't speak to men that they didn't know. You've got a social barrier. Then he's Jewish, she's Samaritan, so you got a racial barrier.
Jesus was Jewish?
Yes, he was. And then Jesus being Jewish, there was a religious barrier because she was a Samaritan. So you got a moral barrier, social barrier, racial barrier, religious barrier. And how did Jesus speak to this woman? Well, he spoke to her on the one thing they had in common, which was H2O, water. People don't often see that in fact, Jesus engages with whatever we've got in common.
I've heard many sermons on that passage, but I've never heard that, ever. The idea that he engages her on the one thing that they have in common.
He doesn't focus on what they don't have in common.